Welcome to beautiful Petco Park and the new home of the Bob Breitbard Hall of Fame. You know, Bob, most everyone here had some contact with Bob, and God bless him. He loved sports and he loved San Diego so much that he collected all that memorabilia. And now we're able to connect the dots from today all the way back to the great history of this city in terms of the tremendous athletes, many of them are here today, and the great moments that they've provided. And it continues on in this very special place. And the man that made it happen has made the move here to this elegant spot that's going to grow with the greatness of San Diego sports is our executive chairman, Ron Fowler. Ron?
Thanks, Dick. This has been a longer journey than I think some of us had hoped for. I thought we were going to get these things handled in a couple of years. I don't see my buddy Dan Shea. Hopefully he's here. But when we started this, we sort of said, well, we'll have this all wrapped up by about 2014. We didn't. But I think what we needed to have was sign off by all the people involved as to what needed to be done to assure the future of not only the Breitbard Hall of Fame, but the Hall of Champions. And that was a process that you can't push. You just have to move along as people are prepared to move along, and that's what we did. As we went through this process, I should say, Dan was with me every step of the way. He had the privilege of negotiating with Comic-Con, which I think was about a 1.5 year negotiation. They don't move quickly except in their area of expertise. Anything other than that takes a while to get things done, but we got there. So Dan was incredibly helpful. Drew Moser went through all this stuff with us and sort of led it for us. We learned terms that I had never heard of before, such as deaccession. That's a term that I don't like any better now that I know what it is than before I did, which is having things in a museum that go away. And it's sort of an ugly process, but you have to go through it to do what we did. The final piece of this was to find a fitting home for the Bob Breitbard Hall of Fame. And we had been thinking about it for quite some time. Frankly, I wanted it here, but we needed to find an appropriate place for it within Petco. The first gentleman, frankly, who said I have an idea as to where it should be is standing right back here, Bill Center. And Bill had the vision on it. When he walked me out here, for those of you who knew what this was before, it was like, really? This is where we can do it? And guess what? We did. And there are a number of people at the Padres who knew Bob, who embraced this project. And I'm so pleased with the end result. I'm not complimenting myself, I'm complimenting them on taking what was at the hall and, in my mind, making it even better. So let me give you a couple of names, and I'd like them to stand up, and we'll like to give them a big round of applause when we're finished. Mark Guglielmo. Mark is standing in the back in blue shirt. Randy McWilliams. Where's Randy? David Craven. Where's David? The construction on this was not exactly easy. Really, they had to move a lot of things around, and they did it, and they did it very well. So that was the sort of construction part of it. The ideation was Eric Meyer. Where's Eric? Okay. And last but not least, Katie Jackson, who is in the middle of almost all the creative, all of the projects for San Diego. So Katie's fine touches on what you see right now. So Katie, where are you? You know, I go back with Bob to the mid-'80s. I was the chair of the hall from '87 to '91. And then Bob came to us, I think it was around 2008, 2009, when he had put up money to, he guaranteed a loan for $5 million to build out the other facility. And the bank called the loan because the people did not raise the money to cover the loan. And he asked Dan and I to get involved then. And there was a realization that although the building was beautiful, that the building was not going to serve us long term because times were changing. People were looking at things differently. Social media and things were far different. So what we were able to do over the last 7 years is put most of the hall, the certificates, the honorees and such, online. So you have access to them. They're there in perpetuity. We will have the ability with a couple places here for you to do that on site at Petco before next season starts, but you can reach all of it. The awards program continues in full swing. Stars of the Month, whether they're amateur or professional, that's there. And the key element, as I said, the final thing was finding where we could move the Breitbard Hall of Fame. I didn't know, and I don't know if anybody else on the board did, that we had a number of plaques that we had no room for at the hall, so they weren't up. I don't know what plaques weren't up. I didn't want to know because I knew we were moving and we'd have sufficient room for them. So we have all the plaques up now. Some, because of lighting, have faded. We will fix those in the off season. But the key thing is that everything the hall was doing is continuing. And one of the programs that we started a number of years ago is the scholarship program named after my late son. That will continue also. And thanks to those of you in this room, we have over $1 million in an endowment in that, and we're able to take kids through 2 years of college, and all these kids are truly at risk. So it's thanks to all of you here, we're able to do those things. Now, none of this would have happened unless Gail and Jerry supported it. And it was very difficult in the early stages of this to accept what we were going to do, but they supported us. They helped us get to where we needed to get to. So we all love Bob, but thank you especially to Gail and Jerry for allowing us the opportunity to create the Breitbard Hall of Fame here. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. And just standing here looking back, not only is there room for all the Breitbard Hall of Famers on the wall, but look, there's plenty of room here to add. So this will be a continuing and exciting day in San Diego history as we induct members in the future, and of course those today. See, I've got to find my place here. Take two. We'll break for commercial here while I. Oh, I know what it was they wanted me to point out. The reason I'm thrown off here, I'm a dinosaur when it comes to all the high technical. I love that dial phone. You ever see these dial phones? But behind us there, that piece of equipment against the wall there where there are no plaques, it's called a searchable database, and that's going to be expanded. There'll be a couple of those here in the Hall of Fame where you can go in and punch any Hall of Fame. I'm accurate. You could punch in Trevor Hoffman, and up will come his bio and his history, even embellished if Trevor gets in here alone some night. You know, we all hope they will be embellished with another Hall of Fame, but that's another story coming up. So take a whack at that and see if you can come up. I know you might want to look at your own bio just to see if all the information is accurate. Now it's time. Ron introduced her. She has been a great champion of the Hall of Fame and of her father's vision for what this has now become. Please welcome Gail Kluski. Gail?
My dad was born and raised in San Diego and was so proud of the city. When he first conceived of the Hall of Fame, San Diego was still a small minor league town. He was sure that by recognizing the remarkable achievements of extraordinary San Diego athletes, more people would see what an amazing, diverse community we have. Over the years, the city has grown and has become the major league city he knew it could be. As a result, we honor not only athletes who were native San Diegans, but also those who accomplished their great achievements while being here. There are many to thank for this day. Of course, I want to thank the Padres organization for this spectacular venue. We could not be more pleased. My dad would have been very impressed and flattered by the recognition. I also want to thank the executive committee and the board of the Hall of Champions who have worked so hard to support the mission of the Hall and to continue my dad's commitment to honor athletes and to support community programs that help the youth of our city. Thank you to our staff, to Drew, Sarah, Steve, and Lauren, for your commitment, enthusiasm, and fresh ideas. We appreciate and are grateful for you on for your day-to-day support and hard work. We would not be here today without the incredible leadership, dedication, and generosity of Dan Shea and Ron Fowler. My dad would have called them community champions, but they are much more than that. They are remarkable men who have spent countless hours that turned into many years to help structure a plan to preserve the core values and the mission of the Hall of Champions. To Ron and Dan, I hope you both know how much we appreciate and love you. This event today is the start of a new era in the 71-year history of the Hall. We hope that those of you who have supported us in the past will continue to be a part of our evolving journey, and that others will be moved to become actively involved as well. It is both humbling and gratifying to be here, standing here today in this beautiful place. I feel great pride and gratitude knowing that my dad's legacy will be preserved here at Petco Park with the Breitbard Hall of Fame. On behalf of the Breitbard family, I thank you all from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you, Gail. We feel your father's presence here, how important he was to all of us that love sport. We've asked 4 of our Breitbard Hall of Famers to say a few words. The first, a sailor who was inducted in the Breitbard Hall of Fame in 1985. He won the 1944 Star Class World Championships with Jerry Driscoll, and in 1945 the title with Lowell North. He also was a major supporter of Dennis Conner's 1987-88 Stars and Stripes America's Cup campaign. Please welcome Malin Burnham. Malin.
Thank you, pal. Well, good morning, everybody. I'm honored to be here and make a few remarks. I will be reminiscing a little bit because at my age, I guess I've known Bob longer than most anybody other than his family that are here, and worked with him many, many times. Again, I would also like to thank Ron and Dan Shea. I haven't seen him yet, but we'll pass his message on to him, I'm sure, for what they've done here. This opening reminds me of 3 prior openings of the Hall of Champions and the Breitbard exhibit. that I helped personally over the last 50-plus years. I helped Bob Breitbard design, construct, and open the prior 3 locations for the Hall of Champions, and it takes me back to some wonderful times. As already been mentioned, I inducted into the Breitbard Hall of Fame from the sailing community. So let me just explain a little bit about that. Actually, over the last 6 or 7 years, when we built the sailing exhibit in the hall, it's one of the big 3 as far as I believe importance, along with football and baseball. Of course, I'm prejudiced, but nevertheless, we will continue to have an exhibit in sailing. While sailing is not internationally a large spectator sport, it still is one of the main sports around the world, and the America's Cup happens to be the oldest sports trophy in the world that is still being competed for on a regular basis. And so that says a little bit about the importance. Also, San Diego is one of only 6 cities which has ever hosted the America's Cup in 166 years of its existence. So it's important to me, it's important to San Diego, I believe, and we will continue that exhibit in some fashion. At the moment, the Hall of Champions, excuse me, the America's Cup portion of our sailing exhibit is temporarily, at least, being housed at the San Diego History Center. Thank you, Tom Fetter and associates. Another piece of the exhibit has been set up on the B Street Cruise Terminal, again in temporary space, but it's not open to the public, unfortunately, but with all the passengers getting on and off cruise ships, they go right by our exhibit, and we'll be seeing it and get some of the history of sailing. We ultimately would like to have a hall for its own museum, if you will, physically and otherwise, somewhere around the waterfront. We're currently working with the Maritime Museum, who have a master plan to extend their marina out into the harbor a little bit further, so they'll have more boats floating, and also build a new entry building that will come off the main drag there. And we are talking to them about putting all of our sailing exhibit into that space as well. So we will be around for a long time. And the other reminiscing that I will share with you is when Petco Park initiative was on the ballot for the citizens to approve this park and give some financial help to it. The theme that we came up with to help sell it was, it's more than a ballpark. And everybody knows today that in spades, this property is much, much more than a ballpark. And of course, this adds to it. Thank you again, Ron. So I thank you all for your support over the years, and I look forward to helping for many more myself. Thank you.
Thank you, Malin. You do the math. There's a man who was the national and world champion sailor. He has really sailed well, hasn't he? That's over 70 years ago. Look at him. Wouldn't we all like to be that handsome and spry, and with a great mind and a great heart as well? Our next gentleman, a graduate of Oceanside High, San Diego State, spent 10 years in the NFL as a defensive back with the Green Bay Packers and the San Diego Chargers. He was a 2-time Pro Bowl selection, a member of the Chargers' 50th anniversary team, and a Packers Hall of Famer as well. Inducted into the Breitbard Hall of Fame in 1994, here's Willie Buchanan.
Thank you. This is an honor and a privilege to be here. Every sports team needs a home. And when I heard that there was going to be a new home for the Breitbard Hall of Fame here at Petco Park, I said, wonderful, because this is a destination place. This is a place that we could come and share the things, and you can see the athletes that have come out during the courses of the many years, many before me. But as I grew up in Oceanside, one of the things that I always ventured to be is in the Breitbard Hall of Fame. I saw the guys before me, and I saw the awards and the certificates, and I saw how Bob supported athletes around the county. Not so much up at Oceanside at the time, but, you know, I talked to him about that later. But one of the things that I actually knew that was that he had a general concern for the sports and athletics here in San Diego. And for all the people that have been backers, and I see you guys all out, and I thank you all for the contributions that you made monetarily and physically, because it took an army, it took a village, it took a whole lot of people to put this whole thing together. And I'm just proud, actually, to be in the foundation, but more so to be a part of something that's going to be even bigger. And as we can see all these empty spots that are on the wall, we're going to relish the young athletes that come up and show the abilities that they had because of the people that led a way. And I thank you all for what you're doing here in San Diego. And thank you again. I don't have any stories. Actually, I have one story because no, I talked about a destination place, and I actually just got back from Green Bay just Wednesday, and I missed last night's game. I'm glad. I told them that as soon as I leave, the weather's going to drop, and it did. So I said, I'm used to Southern California weather. But as I said, you know, when they built the stadium, rebuilt the stadium back in Green Bay, I saw what the teams were looking for as far as upgrading and things like that. And so when you look at a place like Petco Park and what the city has done and what for Petco Park, I just thank God that you guys had enough vision to put this thing into place. And I kind of wish that the other things had worked out where we would have had that other thing here. But, you know, politics, money, things drive different people. But I like to say that San Diego is a home for me. And I thank God that I was able to play in San Diego County, play for the San Diego Chargers, play for the Green Bay Packers, play for the San Diego Aztec, Oceanside High School, and Miracosta College. So I am a local, and I just thank God that I was able to be a part of what's happening right here today. So thank you.
Yeah, that was one. Willie brings up a good point, the fact that Bob had the insight and foresight to honor the high school stars throughout our county and our city, and then they grow to become collegiate, some professional, and honor here in the Hall of Fame. And to have that vision as a young kid that he wanted to have his plaque in the Hall of Fame, and it all comes true, and so it will be for so many others. She played for the U.S. national women's soccer team from 1994 to 2006, helping the team capture the Olympic gold medal in '96, and they won the silver in 2000, as you'll recall. She's a member of the 1999 USA World Cup champion team, and last year was inducted into the National Soccer Hall of Fame. Please welcome the 2008 inductee into the Breitbard Hall of Fame, Shannon McMillan.
Thank you. It is incredibly humbling and honored to be up here in front of you guys today. I grew up just up the road in Escondido. I was a shy, timid girl who was afraid of her own shadow. Fell in love with the game of soccer and had no idea what lay ahead for me. I remember getting the high school honors from Breitbard, and when I finally realized what soccer did, it opened many doors for me, not only helping me get to college that I wouldn't have been able to afford otherwise, but to travel the world and represent our country, but also the life lessons that I've been able to take out of it, from the teamwork, overcoming adversity. And to think that my mug is up on this wall along some of the fine athletes that sit next to me today, it is incredibly humbling. I give back to the game of soccer now as I still coach because it's important to inspire the next generation and see who's going to be the next mugs up here next to ours. A massive thank you to Ron, Dan, the Padres, everybody that had a hand in this, one way or the other, to help Breitbard live on in a first-class fashion, to inspire the next generation, as Willie said, to grow up and be a part of this. I had no idea that this was possible, and it is still humbling because, again, I just grew up playing the game because I loved it. Started playing because I loved orange slices at halftime when I was 6 years old, figuring out what kind of snack the team mom had for us after the game. And that's what's happening now. There's kids out there today, and if it wasn't for things like the Breitbard Hall of Fame and the family support, inspiring that next generation to dream big, to believe in themselves and to go after it. And that's why it's so humbling for me to be here, to be a part of this and to be able to spread that message and continue to inspire that next generation. And just to sit up here next to you guys, athletes that I grew up watching, even though it was a different sport from me. I grew up dreaming of being in the Olympics long before soccer was even an Olympic sport, but being glued to the TV, and whenever I met an athlete, knowing they were from San Diego, having that bond of being from San Diego, which is a special place and community and all of its own. So I thank you guys for helping this to move forward in such a great, great fashion. I look forward to coming through this hall on the way to Padre games and seeing who the next additions are. So thank you guys for making this possible.
She shoots, she scores. What do they say? Goal. Well, there are a lot of goals that wound up ending here thanks to Ron and all of his great colleagues. Well, our final speaker, I don't need to introduce him. I mean, he's there. You've already seen him. And he wore number 51 and Hell's Bells and 6 or 7 All-Stars. I think one of the great honors, he received the Relief Pitcher of the Year now, goes up and grabs a trophy, and it has Trevor Hoffman's name on it. That's an ultimate honor indeed, and how blessed we are to have been able to cheer this man. Here's Trevor Hoffman.
Thank you, Dick. I have to admit, I was running a little bit late today coming in, and so I had to tap into my inner Ron Capps as I was coming in, and when I pulled up, I smelled my car burning, but I was grateful that I didn't burn it up. So I'm hoping everybody's all right, but I'm thankful my car's all right too. It's wonderful to be here today. What an amazing space that has been dedicated to Bob, and an amazing opportunity to reflect on what it has meant, not only to me, but the other athletes. And your words, all of you, have been very inspirational, and Gail, very emotional, and I appreciate you sharing with us. It was fabulous. But I think back of the opportunity I had to earn Player of the Month, Player of the Year, Star of the Year, and then ultimately being enshrined in the Breitbard Hall of Fame was such an amazing honor because it was done in my adopted city. It was done in front of the people that got a chance to see me play, and so it was truly humbling to have that honor bestowed upon me. I think of a story where Bob gave me an opportunity where I had a chance to walk up to his office at the top of the hall, and inside his office was a gentleman by the name of Ted Williams, and accompanying me was Tony Gwynn and Phil Nevin. We had an opportunity to spend about 35 minutes, me personally a fly on the wall, watching two great hitters, mentor and protege, talk about how Tony might need a little bit more power, and Ted had ideas for him, and to see that conversation go back and forth, and to see the love in Bob's eyes and the twinkle of an opportunity that we got a chance to share was something truly special. So I'm glad that this landing spot has happened. Ron, Dan, what an amazing job persevering to see this through. It's great to be a part of it, and everyone have a great day. Thank you.
So Trevor has served as a closer again. Now a very, very special moment. We'd like to unveil a special plaque which fans will pass on their way into this new Breitbard Hall of Fame. We'd like to ask Bob's daughter again, would you please come up, Gail, and son-in-law Jerry Kluski. We're going to pay tribute to Bob Breitbard, a plaque for the man himself. Let's do a little countdown together. We'll count down from 3, 2, 1. The nice thing about the plaques here at the Hall of Fame, and that they were consistent, we've all been to a lot of different halls of fame, and some of the sculpture, and you don't even know who they are. You can't even discern one from another. At least when you see these plaques, you know that's the woman or that's the guy that was a San Diego superstar, and there is a San Diego superstar. What a man, Bob Breitbard. So all the fans, as they come through and examine this Hall of Fame, will be able to say thank you to Bob Breitbard as well. Now the Breitbard Hall of Fame here at Petco Park is officially open and will continue to thrill our fans from this day on. And to present part of our big program today, of course, is the class that will be inducted next year into the Hall of Fame. 3 new members into the Breitbard Hall of Fame in 2018. This man captured 7 World Sailing Championships in 4 different classes. He was the 1984 Los Angeles Olympic Games gold medalist in the sailing class, and this San Diego native is still active in local sailing. Please welcome Robbie Haynes. Robbie, where? Robbie, why don't you come up, just stand here. Don't worry, we're not going to ask you to talk. It's okay, it's all right. This man captured, well, our second class of 2018 inductee was the head coach at San Diego State from 1973 to 1980, winning 3 conference titles. He finished 10-1 in both 1976 and 1977. His Aztecs scored a program-boosting 41-16. You'll remember that win against Florida State. They were ranked 16 in the nation, and San Diego State had headlines throughout the country. Please welcome Coach Claude Gilbert. Our final inductee for the class of 2018. This man came to the Padres in 1982, was a stalwart at shortstop through 1991, 3-time Major League All-Star, 2-time Silver Slugger winner, finishing with 2,096 career base hits. A Padres Hall of Famer, affectionately nicknamed Tempe. Let's welcome Gary Templeton. There they are, Robbie Haynes, Claude Gilbert, Gary Templeton, the 2018 Breitbard Hall of Famers.